central Maharashtra is suffering from inadequate rainfall for the fourth consecutive year, and the drought situation this year is considered to be more severe than the last years. Some spells of rain have made fields look green, but the crops are damaged, stunted, yields are at their lowest ever, and productivity has fallen more than 50%. Hello and welcome to this special edition of What's Ailing Rural India, where we travel to various districts of Marathwada to assess the impact of this deficient monsoon on crops and to also find out if the drought relief program announced by the government is making a difference. Our first destination was Aurangabad. There, we reached village Pachor in Paithan Taluka, where mounting debts and pressures for repayment was the biggest worry for farmers. This, despite government's announcements to help ease the burden. "25-year-old Yogita Bhand has little to look forward to. Her husband, 27-year-old Suresh Bhand, hanged himself last month as he was not able to repay a cumulative loan of 5.5 lakh rupees. But Yogita says this inability was not the straw that broke the camel's back.
वो आकर कह रहे थे हम अपने घर को कुलूप लगाएंगे शेती पर वो 2-3 बार वारंट बनाया उन्हें नोटिस बनाया.
Suresh was just one of 41 farmers in Tehsil Paithan in district Aurangabad to have committed suicide in the last 8 months. And in almost every case, failed crops and inability to pay loans is being blamed.
हमारे भाई में सेंट्रल बैंक ऑफ महाराष्ट्र, सिद्धेश्वर अर्बन, धनलक्ष्मी और महिंद्रा फाइनेंस, कुल मिला के 5-6 लाख.
पर सरकार ने ये कहा था कि जो आपका इंटरेस्ट होता है, जो ब्याज होता है लोन पे, वो माफ किया जाएगा इस बार के सीजन में, क्योंकि इस बार भी बारिश ज्यादा हुई नहीं है. बैंक ने बोली है कि आपका ब्याज माफ करेंगे.
जो सरकार बोलती है कि वो इंटरेस्ट माफ कर देंगे, लेकिन ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं. बैंक बोलती है हमारे पास कोई लिखी जॉब नहीं, तुम्हारे पास है क्या?
More than 40-50 people in this village who have loans with several banks, both nationalized as well as private financiers, have been receiving notices as well as warrants from the banks so that they repay the loans that they have. This is quite contrary to what the government had been saying, that farmers will not be pressurized to pay loans. These farmers are mainly engaged in cultivating sweet lime, pomegranate and cotton and have been accumulating loans since 2008. That's because sweet lime, for instance, requires 6 years to reach its peak. And with this region being hit by a drought for the last 3 years, the prognosis is not good, despite the state government's efforts. In December last year, the Maharashtra government ordered banks to not attempt loan recovery from farmers in drought-hit areas. In addition, the state's latest drought relief plan calls for full waiver of interest on farmer loans in the region. But possibly this announcement was only made to the farmers and not the lenders. Banks, which are already burdened with rising bad debts, have told farmers that no written communication has reached them. And farmers are now in a fix, as not all the relief money is flowing through either.
वो कहने की बात है. हमारे तरफ कोई तो सरकार का कोई आया तो नहीं, पत्र वित्र आया नहीं. तो सरकार का पत्र जब आए तब हम तुम्हारे पैसे परत कर देंगे.
Help as far as loan recovery or at least waiver of the loan interest amount is concerned, at least that's not happening in this district. Cotton is the major crop cultivated in Marathwada. Further into the interiors of Paithan Tehsil, we met cotton farmers to hear their story. The rainy spell in the last leg of the monsoon hasn't been of any help to cotton farmers in Maharashtra's Aurangabad district. Inadequate and delayed rainfall has limited cotton productivity to just 25% so far this season.
हमारे को यह साल को कुछ तो उत्पन्न नहीं हुआ.
अच्छा.
हाँ.
और पिछले साल कितना क्विंटल हुआ था? इस साल
पिछले साल 10 क्विंटल होगा, इसमें फक्त 25 किलो हो गए.
और जो बुआई करते हैं आप लोग 2-3 बार करते हैं, 4 बार करते हैं, तो इस बार कितना बार डाले हैं आप? खाद सीड कितना बार डाले हैं?
4 बार.
4 बार किए हैं. Farmers here tell you that you should not be fooled by the greenery that you see around, because monsoons, when they came quite late in the season. And hence, while the flowers have come on these plants of cotton, it will actually not come out with a lot of productivity as far as cotton is concerned.
The situation has been grim across Marathwada. We moved ahead to Jalna district and met cotton farmers who had come to sell their produce at a local market.
दशहरे का सन आ गया है तो खर्चे के लिए पैसे नहीं भोजन के बाद तो करके वो हमको मजबूरी में बेचना पड़ रहा है. अभी उनका इंतजार नहीं कर सकते हम. उनका वो तुम आप बोल रहे कॉर्पोरेशन वाली.
Government's cotton procuring agency, the Cotton Corporation of India, has yet not come forward to procure this year's produce. As a result, farmers are being forced to sell cotton at prices lower than the minimum support price.
आगे तो कोई संभावना नहीं है क्योंकि झाड़ एकदम छोटे हैं और उत्पन्न तो आने वाले नहीं. जो है वो बेच दिया हमने.
फसल निकली नहीं खेत में से और वो भी थोड़ी बहुत है और शासन ने अभी खरीदी करने को होना था. शासन ने खरीदी करे तो फिर बाहर के मार्केट भी बढ़ जाती है.
One thing that farmers and even the APMC official tells us that at this point in time of the year, government should have opened, Cotton Corporation of India should have come forward to buy the produce, cotton produce that has been brought in by the farmers. Also, the productivity and the yield this year has been very little. It's only been about 25% of what they actually produce. Thanks to rain gods, which have not been very helpful. Rains have come in late, and even government's programs on irrigation has not helped much.
We then set off for Marathwada's Latur district. The drought-like situation here has put the farmer community on the edge, especially soybean farmers in the area.
The region of Marathwada and district of Latur in particular has seen rainfall deficiency of about 52 to 55% in this season, and official records tell us that crop productivity has fallen by over 50%, which means most of the crop in Kharif season has been wasted because of deficient rainfall, or rather no rainfall in this season. Most farmers in this area who used to earlier cultivate cash crops like cotton had moved in the last 2 to 3 years to crops like soybean.
The shift to soybean made sense a few years ago. The investment needed was relatively small and demand was rising.
आप यहाँ पर 2 बार सोयाबीन बोए हैं?
हाँ बोए हैं.
अभी क्या कर रहे हैं आप यहाँ पर? क्या फसल हुई?
क्या ना मोड़े वाला.
खराब हो गई फसल.
हो गई. हाँ.
तो अभी आप क्या हटा रहे हैं फसल को?
हटा ला. हाँ.
In a matter of just this season, in the last 3 months, he has spent about 80,000 rupees, 84,000 rupees on this land, all of which has gone waste.
But the problem is that 87% of the cultivable land in Latur is dependent on monsoons for irrigation, and the irrigation infrastructure in the remaining area is poor at best.
यहाँ पीने के लिए पानी नहीं है गांव में. दूर दूर से लाते, फिल्टर से पानी लाते. पीने के लिए भी पानी नहीं है यहाँ पे.
तो सिंचाई के लिए पूर्ण रूप से बारिश पर निर्भर है.
हाँ, बारिश पर.
The state has tried doing its bit, like the 5,000 crore rupees ambitious Jalyukt Shivar program, of which government has spent 1,000 crores so far. This is funded jointly by the government and the people. But the results have fallen short of expectations. The one hope farmers in Latur now have is that the rabi crop may be saved if the tail end of the monsoons is a little close to normal.
सितंबर महीने के फर्स्ट और सेकंड वीक में जो बारिश हुए है उससे चलते रब्बी की फसल अच्छी आएगी. रब्बी की फसल के लिए जो बुआई के लिए जो जमीन में मॉइस्चर लगता है वो अच्छी पैमाने पर है.
अभी आप क्या रबी के लिए सीधे?
रबी के लिए, ज्वारी के लिए बुआई करवाओ.
आप
बारिश गिरने के बाद ये भी आएगा, नहीं तो ये भी चला जाएगा.
Once the largest producer of pulses, India now relies on imports to meet demand. In Latur, we found out that the government is as much to blame as the rain gods for creating this situation. 50-year-old Govind Mane and his son look to the heavens to safeguard their crop and their very lives. After 4 months of hard work, these lush green fields of tuar have flowered, and a spell of rainfall in October will determine whether this crop survives.
अभी मेरी तुर की खेती अच्छी है. अगर बारिश नहीं आए तो पूरी खत्म हो जाएगी.
Inadequate rainfall and poor irrigation facilities led to a 60% drop in tuar yields last year. leaving farmers like Govind close to ruin.
Until 5 years ago, tuar dal production in district of Latur alone could service the requirement of whole of Maharashtra. However, drought in the last 3 to 4 years' time has changed the scenario. Tuar takes about 6 months to cultivate from time of sowing to finally when the produce comes in hand. And only one crop like soybean can be mixed while cultivating tuar. And hence, most farmers in lack of and deficient rainfall have moved away to quicker crops like soya, bean and chana.
With no assured procurement by the government, the acreage for tuar had fallen by over 30% last year, though it has marginally improved this year. The problem is not restricted to tuar. Other pulses like moong, chana and urad have also seen reduced productivity since last year. The fact that this shortage has led to higher prices is no relief.
गए साल तुअर हर एक को 4 थैली निकलती थी, एक थैला भी नहीं निकला। वही सबसे शॉर्टेज है, हमारे पास कुछ नहीं है तो मंडी में माल कम रहने से प्राइस ज्यादा है।
It's not just farmers who have taken a hit. The ancillary industry in Latur includes nearly 100 pulse processing plants which are directly dependent on the crop.
In Latur district, most of the dal mills are operating at 25% capacity and many have even shut down. Most dal mill owners tell us that they now have to import raw ingredients from places like Burma and Africa, and they say the quality of these pulses is not as good than what is locally grown here.
Imports are expensive, so input costs have more than doubled in the last 2-3 years, hurting profitability. Mill owners hope the government will intervene.
Government have many programs in their purse, but they have to be implemented properly at the ground level. They should import properly when foreign prices are low. They should stock when farmer is selling in distress.
India today imports close to 4 million tons of pulses, and experts say the situation could have been avoided if the government had done more to procure and store the produce in the years when production was high.
हिस्ट्री में सबसे हाई भाव अभी परिस्थिति चल रहे हैं। ये साल तुअर क्रॉप कम है, उड़द कम है, मूंग का क्रॉप कम है, इसलिए सभी भाव डबल हो चुके हैं। कुछ भाव तो डबल 2.5 पट 3 पट के लगभग भाव हो चुके हैं।
Pulses in most retail markets today command 75% more than they did a year ago. The government though has now imported 5,000 tons of tuar this year and has announced increased minimum support price for pulses to incentivize farmers like Govind. But this may be too little, too late. Because without ways to better long-term irrigation, India will remain dependent on imports, and subsidies will only take you so far. Scarcity of drinking water is the biggest problem in Marathwada, and we found out in Latur district that the real culprit is not the recurring drought, but bad water management. For Sheikh Mahabubi and 3 of her 5 children, this is a daily ritual. A 1-kilometer walk to a borewell, hours spent standing in line to fill up a couple of buckets with water, and a long walk back home, just to ensure her 10-member family has water to drink. This is the price many people in her village pay for poor municipal water supply infrastructure.
15 दिन के बाद पानी छूटता है, वो भी पानी छूटने आता है, थोड़ा बहुत 2-2 घड़े पानी आता है, तो किसको मिलता है तो किसको नहीं मिलता.
The local administration has tried to help by providing tankers that supply water, but with poor storage facilities, even this is not very helpful.
उसमें एक है कि ड्रिंकिंग वाटर स्केर्सिटी है। ड्रिंकिंग वाटर स्केर्सिटी को ट्रीट करने के लिए अलग-अलग किस्म के 9 प्रकार की ट्रीटमेंट्स करते हैं।
Latur's water problems are heightened by 3 things. 1. It has no major river flowing by it. 2. The groundwater table has halved in the last 3 years. And 3. The catchment area in neighbouring Osmanabad district has not had proper rainfall.
This region has about 2 big dams, Manchar and Terna, 8 to 10 medium-sized projects and about 131 smaller irrigation projects to service this area. But because of deficient rainfall in this season and drought years in the last 2 years, most of these projects are in dead stock.
Earlier this year, a desperate government had proposed sending water to Latur and neighbouring areas by railway wagons from Ujjaini Dam, nearly 200 to 300 kilometers away. But with that idea being deemed unfeasible and insufficient, authorities are scrambling for alternatives.
और ड्रिंकिंग वाटर सितंबर में जो बारिश हुए उसके हिसाब से रूरल एरिया में तो प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, सिर्फ अर्बन एरिया खास करके लातूर शहर में कुछ एक प्रॉब्लम 5 महीने के बाद हो सकती है। 4-5 महीने तक तो हमें पानी उपलब्ध है।
The problem in this region has been exacerbated by the fact that the region is home to around 120 water bottling plants, a lot of them unregistered. Each bottling plant requires nearly 1 lakh litres of water on a daily basis to produce 60,000 bottles of water. Experts say this strains an already strained groundwater table, making it more difficult for residents to meet their needs.
Time for a short break. The special report on what's ailing rural India will continue on the other side.